The Royal Flush Gang, a group of thugs and thieves who could challenge the mightiest. DC has managed to create a group of villains whose mode of operation is something that we have never seen before. The Royal Flush Gang is a group of thieves and miscreants who constantly create trouble for Batman as well as the entire Justice League team. They arrive on their flying cars with only one mission: to steal valuable items from the wealthy population. With some amazing and unique abilities, they have always given a hard time to even the mightiest of heroes. As a family of 5 members, the Royal Flush Gang appears to have a rather long-standing rivalry with Bruce Wayne, and they will stop at nothing to get their revenge by destroying his life. But what could have possibly given rise to this hatred? Well, without further delay, let us get into this video and answer all your questions about their thrilling origins and their many faces. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Batman Beyond showed glimpses of this notorious gang. The Royal Flush Gang was introduced to us in the 4th series of the DC animated universe, Batman Beyond. In the 8th episode of the series titled Dead Man's Hand, we see the Royal Flush Gang for the first time. The episode begins at sea, where a huge yacht with wealthy-looking passengers is sailing. Their fun is interrupted by a group of 5 people flying on playing cards. They are also dressed up as playing cards of a king, queen, jack, and ace, and a 10. They attack the passengers all at once and steal their jewelry and valuable items. Meanwhile, the new Batman, Terry McGinnis, notices the attack from the shore and informs an elderly Bruce Wayne, who seems to know this gang. On the other hand,
people dressed up like playing cards.
Did you say playing cards?
Uh-huh.
Batman, unaware of who his enemies are, flies to the ship and fights the 5 criminals. The Queen creates chaos and threatens to kill all the passengers on board if Batman does not let her teammates fly away. Left with no other choice, Batman accepts defeat and the criminal group gets away. Later on, outside a club, Batman is now in his civilian form as Terry, and he ends up meeting a girl named Melanie Walker, although we will soon discover that that is not her real identity.
It's like
2 of a kind. That's what we are. I'm Melanie Walker.
At the Batcave, Bruce reveals to Terry that the criminal group from earlier, known as the Royal Flush Gang, will return because he shares a history with them. The Royal Flush Gang is made up of family members: the King, the Queen, their son Jack, their daughter 10, and Ace, who is always seen in his costume. Now, at their apartment, King tells Jack that his hatred towards Batman stems from the fact that he once broke up the gang long ago.
The difference. Years ago, when I was your age, he broke up this gang for a while. He outsmarted us.
He then calls for 10, and we see Melanie Walker appear. As it turns out, Terry is oblivious to Melanie's true identity as 10. Their next target is a museum, but the guard arrives just as the Royal Flush Gang is about to steal a decorative sword. They are obviously no match for the gang, but Batman is, and he arrives soon after. Unaware of each other's actual identities, Batman and 10 engage in a brutal fight. The rest of the group captures a guard, and once again, Batman has no choice but to let them escape.
If you value his welfare, I suggest you not follow.
Back at their apartment, Melanie tells Queen how she wants to get away from their family for a boy, who is, of course, Terry. But later, she calls Terry and tells him that she can no longer see him. Suspecting that something is wrong, Terry traces the call on his back computer and gets her address. After arriving at her place, he realizes that Melanie is in fact 10. Soon, he gets into another fight with the Royal Flush Gang at their house and actively avoids harming 10. When faced with the option of saving her father and attacking Batman, 10 chooses the former. Batman saves her life, but once the gang is defeated, he hands over all 5 of them to be taken under arrest. In the 20th episode, we see 10 arrive in Gotham City once more. She tries to rob a high-stakes poker game called the Derby, and Batman arrives on the scene to save her. She manages to escape, and Batman heads back to the Batcave. Later on, at his house, Terry is visited by Melanie, who is still unaware of his secret identity as Batman. Terry, on the other hand, is disappointed with Melanie because she has gone back to her old ways as 10. She then informs Terry that she was forced to rob the poker game by a gang called the Jokers, who had kidnapped her family members.
Why is everybody after you?
Because I was forced to rob a big poker game by the Jokers.
She asks for his help and he is reluctant. The next night, 10 is just about to go after the Derby when Batman makes an attempt to stop her. He is ready to help her free her family, so 10 takes him to the hideout of the Jokers. While fighting the many gangsters of the Jokers, 10 disappears, and Batman finds out that they never kidnapped the Royal Flush Gang. In the meantime, 10 has successfully robbed the Derby and takes the stolen items as ransom to someone she believes to be the Joker. But as it turns out, it was her own family who staged the kidnapping to test the loyalty of 10.
Now let my family go.
Well done, darling.
Batman soon arrives on the scene and goes up against the Royal Flush gang once again. 10 leaves them as she is devastated after being betrayed by her own family. During the fight, King thinks that they have finally defeated Batman, but it looks like Batman informed the Derby about who robbed their game, and they arrive for revenge. Soon after, the police come as well, and now the Royal Flush gang is outnumbered. The King decides to surrender and hands over the stolen items to Batman.
Gentlemen, tonight's extra special guest stars, making their world debut, the Royal Flush Gang.
A brief history of the Royal Flush Gang. The Royal Flush Gang came into existence due to the efforts of a man named Amos Fortune. He was a supervillain and the leader of a group of young gangsters who would commit thefts or work as hired criminals. When they became adults, Amos Fortune wanted to adopt a style and a theme for the gang. So, he came up with the idea of playing cards. The code names they decided to adopt are taken from the poker game in which the cards are required to complete a royal flush. King, Queen, Jack, 10, and Ace. Amos was inspired by his friends whose names had the starting letters of each of the royal flush. King from Carrie, Queen from Queenie, Jack from Jack, and 10 from Tom. Joker also sometimes joined the group, but he was not considered a constant member. Upon adopting the playing cards as their mode of operation, Amos Fortune developed the Stellarator machine, through which he could channel the astral force emerging from playing cards and use it as a weapon. He developed weaponized cards through which the person who would receive those cards would be captivated by whatever the card represented, such as sadness, dispute, confusion, betrayal, or illness. Under the leadership of Amos Fortune, the gang was caught several times by the Justice League of America. Later on, a second gang came into existence led by Hector Hammond, who is well known as a villain of Green Lantern. This gang tried to succeed in their attempt to defeat the Justice League several times, but soon, Fortune decided to take over the gang once more after the ace of their gang, an android developed by an engineer, was destroyed. Fortune killed all the previous members of the first gang and left only Jack alive. The Royal Flush Gang has a history of adding new members to their gang once the old ones retire or end up in jail. Usually, these new members are their children, husbands, or wives. The face cards serve as the superior members, the ones who get to make the decisions, while the role of the ace is limited to acting as the muscle of the gang, and 10 is responsible for controlling the remaining lower level members.
That's more like it.
Joker's very own Royal Flush Gang. Batman's archenemy formed his own Royal Flush Gang to serve as his servant. After being captured, the members of the first Royal Flush Gang were handed over to the metahuman research due to their special abilities. The Joker managed to free the group from the clutches of the government and created his own gang. They were all loyal to the Joker and did as he asked them to, and fought many battles for him against the Justice League.
The food's a lot better since we signed on with the J-Man.
I like your style. Joker's a class act.
All 5 members of Joker's Royal Flush Gang are also seen flying on cards. The King carries a cane with him, which allows him to shoot a super hot plasma bolt targeted at his enemies. The Queen can telekinetically control and reshape any form of metal as per her requirements. Jack has the power of superhuman levels of elasticity. 10 has the strength and durability that surpasses that of any ordinary human. And lastly, Ace has immense mind-bending abilities, which she can use to drive any person insane just by giving them a single look. Some of the terrific types of equipment and weapons used by the gang. The android version of Ace that we discussed earlier is one of the most vital pieces of the equipment that the gang possesses. To further enhance his strength, Ace also used an exoskeleton which increases powers, and it also contains a large gamma blaster in the chest. They also gave insulated suits that protect them from the vacuum of space. The Queen is known to carry a scepter, royal, that allows her to change her appearance into any woman she wants. The gang has also been seen using crossbows during their fight. Several versions of Jack have used cybernetic eyes in place of their original one. The first Ace of Spades used a new weapon called the Lance, through which he could shoot acid-tipped spades. The members have wrist-mounted laser guns and launchers that can shoot space-shaped blades among their equipment. They also use weaponized playing cards to shoot blasts of electricity when they come into contact with their enemies. Another quite common weapon they possess is swords, used only by the King.
I'm stronger than anybody. I knew I was stronger than you.
several incarnations of the Royal Flush Gang in the DC animated universe. The Royal Flush Gang appeared in a two-part Justice League episode titled Wild Cards. In this version, the 5 members of the group are trained by Project Cadmus as metahuman teenagers who have their own unique abilities. The Joker tracks them down and converts them into his Royal Flush Gang so he can destroy Las Vegas live on television. However, he keeps his actual plans hidden. In order to divert the attention of the Justice League, the Joker fakes a bomb threat and makes the Royal Flush Gang delay their efforts to stop him. When the heroes capture King, Queen, Jack, and 10, they realize that the Joker was only trying to mislead them. His actual plan is to use Ace in order to drive millions of viewers mad, but his plans are disrupted by the genius of Batman.
Now, a few more minutes and millions of people are going to go...
Batman reveals to Ace that Joker is still in possession of a collar that was used to control Ace as a kid, and Joker now keeps it as collateral against her. When Ace realizes that Joker was only manipulating her, she uses her prismic powers to put him in a coma before vanishing. The next time we see the Royal Flush Gang in a DC animated universe is in the Justice League Unlimited episode titled Epilogue. Walsh takes up the role of Ace once again, while the other 4 members of the gang are only seen in passing. Here, Ace ends up creating her version of the Royal Flush Gang out of loneliness because her powers had increased so much that she now was capable of warping reality.
Did you like playing with my new Royal Flush Gang?
Can't say that I did.
Yeah.
This resulted in the creation of a Royal Flush Gang made up of 4 random individuals who would play with her. Unfortunately, they turned on her and decided to use their new abilities for criminal purposes. As the Justice League fought these new criminals, a member of Project Cadmus named Amanda Waller disclosed that Ace was dying of an aneurysm, and that if the psychic reaction were to be triggered by her death, it would kill millions. Batman offered to murder her before it happened, but Ace knew that he was trying to protect her, and he would do no such thing, so she asked him to stay with her till she died. Batman agreed, and Ace died gently without causing damage to anyone. Before dying, she brought back her reality and the original Royal Flush Gang. All the original members of the Royal Flush Gang have time and again proved themselves to be formidable foes for Batman, as well as the entire Justice League. Together, they undoubtedly make up an outstanding team of supervillains whose powers and abilities revolve around the playing cards and are pretty creative and unique. It would definitely be a lot more exciting if someday we got to see them in live action version in the DC movies. Well guys, that's it for today. We have come to the end of another origin video with Marvelous Videos. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it for you. Have a fantastic day ahead. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.